You can imagine these psychic tentacles being hooked into everyone's sexual center. They're literally being fed off of. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so that you can magnetize your ideal life. Make sure you grab my free ejaculation control guide. There's a link in the video description below. So there is a serious pandemic spreading in the world right now, and this is something that's much deadlier than a virus, and it's affecting a lot more people. This is the porn pandemic. So statistically, people are having a lot less sex now, but porn viewing has gone up significantly. Since the age of quarantine began earlier this year, porn traffic has increased 300%, 400% or more. So there's much more porn viewing, but people are having less sex. So human sexuality is becoming very disconnected. It's becoming mechanized. We're turning into these sexual machines in a certain way with a very inhuman expression of sex, and that's affecting many people in a very negative and destructive way. There's a major difference between having sex, with an actual partner and watching porn. When you watch porn, you're stimulating this false sense of connection, this false sense of being with someone. It leads to certain imbalances in your mind, in your body, and your energy body as well. So first, some of the more scientific explanations is the dopamine factor. Every time you watch a porn video, your brain gets a hit of dopamine. And this is the reward chemical. It's released when you accomplish something normally, but when you're just sitting there on your computer watching porn, you're getting hit after hit of dopamine. And it starts to burn out your brain's dopamine receptors because it's not supposed to have such high levels of dopamine over a long period of time. Again, when you're looking at video after video, you're masturbating, you're having ejaculatory orgasms, you're overloading your system with dopamine. It starts to burn out your dopamine receptors. So what this means is when you're a porn user, it's just like a drug. It affects your brain and your body the same way a drug does. You get that sharp peak of dopamine, and then you finish, you have your orgasm, whatever, and there's this drop off in your dopamine levels. And because you start to burn out your dopamine receptors, your dopamine levels get very imbalanced. So the rest of the day, you feel like a zombie. You feel fatigued, you feel unmotivated, depressed, you have insomnia. And this often leads people to, of course, spend more time watching porn or seek out other addictive outlets. Taking drugs, playing video games for hours, binge watching Netflix, eating junk food, drinking alcohol, these things. So it leads to this downward spiral of self-destructive behavior because you need excessive amounts of stimulation just to feel normal. This is the downward spiral of dopamine. It also leads to erectile dysfunction because your dopamine levels affect your ability to have erections. So when they're imbalanced, it often results in erectile dysfunction. So basically, when you're watching porn all the time, when you're masturbating to porn all the time, your energy is low, your brain chemistry is out of balance, and you just don't feel very well, right? But so many people are completely used to this. These conditions are considered normal for a lot of people in our society. And so when you're able to remove this from your life, you can start to see major, major changes. And I'll get more into how to do this. And then I want to talk about a little more esoteric side of things. So we'll look at the energetics of what's happening when you're watching porn. So sex can be the most creative, nourishing, healing, expansive experience that you can have. It can also be the most destructive and depleting act that you can do. It really depends on the context. It depends on what's happening, right? So when you're having sex with a partner, there's an exchange happening. You're stimulating your sexual energies, they're merging together. You're exchanging your yin and yang energies. So this is very beneficial, right? It's very healing, it's very nourishing. You're generating life force with a partner and you're sharing it, you're harvesting that, right? It's very, very beneficial. But when you're sitting at home on a computer watching porn, where is your sexual energy going? All this sexual energy, millions and millions of people around the world every day watching porn, sending out their sexual energy. Where is that all going? When you think about all this energy, it's almost incomprehensible how much sexual energy is being spent every day by people around the world watching porn. What are you bonding yourself to? Sexual energy bonds things together. It's like psychic superglue. It bonds you to thoughts, to feelings, to actions. So what are you bonding yourself to when you're watching porn and you're masturbating? You're bonding yourself to sitting in your office chair every night at 7 o'clock, one hand on your genitals, the other hand on your computer mouse, just jerking off to porn. You're gluing yourself to that pattern. it becomes addictive, right? You're creating that pattern in your life, and it becomes very difficult to break because you glued yourself to it. But on an even higher level, again, where is all this sexual energy going? Millions and millions of people sending out this powerful sexual energy. The semen energy is very powerful. It's the Jing Qi, the Taoists call it, this rich, vital life force. Where is this all going? So one of my teachers, Michael Wynn, talks about the internet sex beast. This is a powerful astral entity that is feeding off people's sexual energy that they're just discarding, jerking off to porn. This is what's behind a lot of the porn industry, right? Is this nasty dark forces, right? That is what you are bonding to and sending your sexual energy into when you are masturbating to porn. You're connecting to this nasty dark entity. It's literally sucking the life force out of you because you're happily sending it out there. So you can imagine, again, millions of people around the world masturbating to porn every day, feeding these dark astral entities. That's gonna be a pretty powerful entity, right? So we can see just how major of a force this is on a planet. And it's such a destructive force. And again, it's behind the porn industry. It's also behind a lot of the human sex trafficking that's happening. We're finding out that all these elite leaders of the planet have been involved in human trafficking and pedophilia, all these very dark things that are being emerged out into the light. So porn addiction is so normalized in our society. It's completely normalized. It's all over media. It's everywhere. People just talk about watching porn like it's, a healthy thing to do. And this is a control system. And it's set up this way, to have your sexual energy literally be feeding something else, right? So you can think of the movie The Matrix, right? There's the scene where Neo wakes up and he's wired into this machine, and he looks around and there's thousands and thousands of humans, and they're all connected, to the machines. They're being fed off of by these machines, these dark forces. And it's exactly what's happening in this world. You can imagine these psychic tentacles being hooked into everyone's sexual center. They're literally being fed off of by their sexual energy. That's what's happening. So human sexual energy is being fed off of and harvested on a massive scale. You can imagine when you start to break this parasitic connection to these entities that are feeding off of your sexual energy, once you start to reclaim your own sexual energy and use that for yourself, imagine how much more energy you have. Your energy levels improve 50%, 100%, or more. All of a sudden you have all this drive, you have all this clarity, all this focus. You have this drive to get out in the world and to make things happen, right? Because you're no longer being fed off of. You might ask yourself, why are so many people stuck in these dead-end lifestyles, working minimum wage jobs, just sitting on the couch all day, drinking beer, watching Netflix, not really accomplishing anything with their life. People are stuck in their life because they're being fed off of. They don't have the energy they need to be balanced, to be harmonious, and to live a life they truly want to. They're being kept in these low vibrational states of fear and lack. So once you break this connection and reclaim your sexual power, all of a sudden you have all this extra energy, all this motivation, all this confidence and balance in your life. It's really an incredible transformation to go through. But again, you need to break out of the matrix. So how do you do this? The more superficial approach to it is to start changing your habits, right? Acknowledging that, okay, I'm in the habit of every night at 7 o'clock, I'm on Pornhub, I'm masturbating, all right? So acknowledging that's part of your daily life and understanding that you need to start creating new habits. So whenever there's a habit in your life, right? If you just try to take it away, it leaves an empty space. You really need to fill that space with something else. So start creating new habits, creating new productivity in your life, right? So you need to make a plan for yourself. You need to write some things down like, okay, instead of watching porn, I'm going to do this instead. So some examples, physical exercise is really great. If you don't exercise consistently, this is going to be tremendously beneficial, obviously for your health and reestablishing your hormonal balance, but you're going to get that natural feel-good dopamine release in a more balanced way if you go work out, go to the gym, crush a workout, or if your gym's on lockdown, then go to a park, do a body weight workout, something like that. You can look up some body weight workout routines and start doing that. But again, that will be very helpful for improving your willpower and again, doing something that makes you feel good, moving your body so you don't need to get on Pornhub and rub one out. Also, improving your productivity, studying and learning. What are you excited about? What are your passions? Start studying, start learning, start developing your skills. Maybe take a course, learn a musical instrument, take some classes, do something where you're improving, you're growing. This is very, very important, because if you're not growing, then you're going to likely find these addictive outlets to waste your energy on. So it's important that you're developing yourself in all aspects. And again, that is something you start putting your energy into, and it will pay it off exponentially. So this is really your opportunity to say, okay, it's time for me to change these habits and to transform myself. It's time to step into being the person you truly want to be. You have the opportunity to create your dream life. You just have to take action. So that's a bit more of a superficial approach. You know, it's very important in beginning to release these old habits, but much more importantly, on a deeper level, doing internal energy training. This is very, very vital to reprogramming some of these addictive patterns you have, because even if you're working out, you're studying, you're growing, you may still have all those same sexual impulses like, well, I still want to really, look at porn. I'm still thinking about porn all the time. So this is because you have these patterns set in your internal energy flow, right? So our body is comprised of all of these energy channels. And when we get stuck in certain patterns, it programs the flow of energy in our body. We often have certain tensions, certain blockages, right, that get ingrained into our body. So having some sort of practice where you're working with the internal energy and opening up its free flow throughout your body, it starts to change your patterns. Trying to make changes happen in the external world can be helpful, but sometimes it's not enough. Often you really need to go within and reestablish a harmonious flow of energy in your body. And that's what tends to really make a big shift in your psyche, in your emotions, and in your desires. Because once again, when you have your energy channels open and flowing harmoniously, then you no longer have these addictive impulses because you're filled up from within with the life force. You're cultivating life force, cultivating chi. So like practices like qigong, meditation, breath work help you establish this connection with the life force. And when you have that connection, then you're able to tap into that whenever you want. You're able to fill yourself up and you feel good. You feel high naturally. So you don't need to reach out and look to porn or to drugs to try to fill yourself up that way, right? So it really changes who you are. And then on another level, being able to evolve your sexual experience. This is really what the essence of sexual kung fu is the first work is, again, getting in touch with your internal energy and establishing a free flow throughout the body, but then changing your sexual patterns, how you experience sexuality. Instead of just this ejaculatory orgasm dispelling energy from your body, the work involves starting to bring the sexual energy in an upward flow, establish an upward flow of your sexual energy. So you start to connect it, integrate it into your entire body, your entire being. You bring your sexual energy connected up with your heart to raise the vibration of that sexual energy into love, into connection. You raise it up into the higher centers, the brain, the crown, and you turn it into spiritual connection. So now your sexual energy is integrated with love, with spiritual growth, and it's amplifying and bonding you to these things, right? This is the true essence. This is what our sexuality was truly meant to be. It's something sacred, something beautiful, something that heals us, nourishes us, allows us to grow. Our human sexuality has been hijacked, it's been distorted, and turned into something very destructive, something very depleting, right? So changing your relationship to sexuality, again, once you do these practices where you start to experience full body orgasm without ejaculating, connecting deeply with yourself, connecting deeply with your partner in states of love, of bliss, of spiritual connection, it changes who you are. It completely redefines your reference point of what sex and sexuality is. So much that you no longer desire to go back to these old habits of, watching porn or just masturbating just to ejaculate out your energy. It's no longer pleasurable. It's no longer attractive to you because you've changed that dynamic of how your sexual energy expresses itself into something more harmonious and balanced. And this is better than any drug, or any porn binge session. So I want to share with some resources for you guys to actually make this happen, right? So check out my playlist. I've got some playlists with qigong practices. I've got a breathwork playlist, sexual kung fu practices. Check out those playlists, go through the exercises. Again, it's really about having that daily practice, doing something that gets you in touch with your internal energy, meditating, training your mind, training your body, and cultivating your chi. That is so important. So follow those playlists and there'll be some really great tools for you to evolve your experience. And if you want to really take it to the next level, check out my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man, where I go into depth on sexual mastery practices. So I'll put more information about that in the description of this video. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. What have you done to overcome your porn addiction? I'd love to hear. Have a great day, my friends.